The Boston Celtics are undeniably one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference and the NBA itself. And Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown have received a ton of praise in the media for their strong play. But four-time All-Star Al Horford continues to slip under the radar as one of the most underrated players in the league, and as an integral glue that holds this entire team together. This video will cover all the little things that has made Al Horford so special to the Boston Celtics in his 2 seasons there, and why I think he will have an enormous impact come playoff time. Horford came to the Boston Celtics after 9 years with the Atlanta Hawks, where he had his best statistical seasons by far and helped the Hawks to their best season since the Dominique Wilkins era when they won 60 games and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Over the 9 seasons with the Hawks, he had established himself as one of the better centers in the game, even if he had said multiple times that he would have preferred to play his college position of power forward. But the appeal of Al at the 5 is easy to see. At 6'10", he is big enough to guard most other big men, and his lateral quickness also gives him an edge in this regard. Then, on the other end of the court, he can use his skill, touch, quickness, as well as his shooting ability to stretch the floor and become a nightmare matchup for most other big men. The Boston Celtics saw this and thought they could potentially snap up Al Horford and Kevin Durant in the offseason of 2016. And whilst they didn't get Kevin Durant, the acquisition of Horford on a max-level contract would change the course of the Celtics franchise significantly. Free agency is one of the best ways to add a value to your team when you get it right. Because when you trade or draft a player, you have to give up a significant opportunity cost and value in return. Whether that is using an actual draft pick and missing out on other players in the draft, or trading players already on your team in return for a new player. But when you add someone through free agency, the only opportunity you give up in return is the cap space needed to sign the player. So when you get the contract size right, it can be the best way to add a player to your roster and add value, which results in wins. And the Celtics nailed this with Horford. Although many complain about his contract size, he's incredibly irreplaceable to this team and worth every cent with the value that he provides. Alongside this, he is the perfect big man in a system run by Brad Stevens, as he is a fantastic on and off ball screener, can operate from the high post, and is a fantastic passer. And in his first year with the Celtics, he opened up the game for Isaiah Thomas in a way that many didn't think would ever be possible for the 5'9" point guard. The screens, dribble handoffs, and overall gravity of Horford on the court allowed Thomas to see more space than ever before on a basketball court, and he thrived as a result. IT had his best career year and would dominate the scoring that hadn't been seen by a smaller point guard for years. And Al himself had a career best year in assists, as he averaged 5 assists a game to go alongside 14 points and 6.8 rebounds. People complained that he wasn't getting enough boards, wasn't scoring enough, and he was too passive at times. But this is Horford's archetype as a player, and the role that the Celtics saw for him going forward. They didn't want him to be the primary star. They wanted him to be the perfect complementary piece that could bring out the best in future Celtics guards and other players. And in the playoffs, Horford would take it to another level and silence all of the Celtics fans who had been hating on him. He averaged 15.1 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 5.4 assists per game, and shot the ball at an almost unbelievable rate. He shot 58.4% from the field, 51.9% from the three-point line, and 75.9% from the free throw line. Al was simply incredible, and gave great hope to the franchise going forward that he could be an amazing piece for them for the length of his contract. And this season, he has continued to provide value and worth, averaging 13.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 5.2 assists per game on the best shooting splits of his career. The shooting, defense, and passing from the playoffs has carried over as well. And whilst the arrival of Aaron Baines has also allowed Horford to box out slightly smaller players, and his rebounding numbers have improved as a result. And this has always been the biggest criticism of Horford. The Celtics got absolutely destroyed in rebounding last season, and gave up countless extra possessions and even entire games by allowing other teams to get on the offensive glass. This was incredibly frustrating for both Brad Stevens, the players, and the fans, and it was exceptionally telling that for a large portion of last season, Avery Bradley led the team in rebounding. But the Boston Celtics' main starting lineup of Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Aaron Baines has completely reversed those woes and are now in fact one of the better rebounding lineups in the league. They only give up 20% of the potential defensive rebounds and have one of the best net ratings in the league, as they have become one of the hardest teams to score against. And in the same vein, are finding scoring incredibly easy. And Kyrie Irving and Al Horford form the dynamic duo that push the entire Celtics offense along. In a similar vein to how Horford opened up the court for Isaiah Thomas, he is doing the exact same thing for Kyrie. Al is a master of the pick and roll. I've discussed this in countless past videos, but the ability to do multiple things out of the pick and roll is what makes for a tough matchup. Horford simply has it all. He can fade out for a 3 if the other team doubles Kyrie, slip the screen for an easy look at the basket, or just stick to a traditional roll to the basket alongside the guard. And then from all of these positions, Al can do multiple things. Given the ball at the 3-point line and he can shoot or execute a pump fake and drive, given the ball in the paint and he can rise up for a layup or dunk, or dish it out to the corners and wings if the opposition helps too much. Think of the pick and roll as a dance between two teams. The coverage sets the initial plan, and then the opposing team reacts and executes a counter to it. Sag off too much in the paint and Kyrie Irving will pull up, come up too far and he will blow by you. Double him and or Horford is open from the 3-point line, and stay too close to Horford and he slips ahead of the defender into the paint. If I haven't made my point clear, then let me simplify it. Guarding an Al Horford and Kyrie Irving pick and roll isn't just hard, it is an absolute nightmare. And then the Celtics have surrounded them with fantastic young players in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the wings, who are shooting the 3 ball at rates that no one outside of the Celtics organization expected. And Al is fantastic at noticing when these guys are open and getting them the ball quickly and in the right position. So whilst Kyrie is the one who is initiating a lot of the offense, he is not always the one creating for his teammates. That is not to say that he doesn't, but simply that a lot of it flows through Horford as well. And if you took Horford out and replaced him with any other big men, it would be very difficult to keep this system up. Imagine if Aaron Baines was playing Horford's role. The 3-point pick and fades would now be from the free throw line, space would be far more cramped, and Baines simply can't pass like Horford can. Horford is the glue that keeps the Boston offense flowing, and the second cog in the motor that works alongside Kyrie Irving to create a far greater output than either of them could produce alone. And then on defense, Al is also the Celtics' most important player. He knows the defensive coverage incredibly well, is very rarely out of position, and is one of the loudest and best communicators in the entire NBA. Watching Celtics games, you can see Al pointing out assignments, blaring orders at teammates, and ensuring that the defense is as prepared as possible for what is coming. This is something frequently overlooked by most NBA fans. A lot of them simply see athletic defenders out on the perimeter, locking down opposing players, and thinking that is what makes a fantastic defender. But some of these players can still be liabilities if they don't know the coverage and the game plan. This is the reason why a guy like Kyle Korver is a fantastic team defender. Korver is now 36 years old, well past his athletic prime, but still finds ways to be in the correct position and make the right team play. And Al has found even more success defensively this season when compared to last season, and he's on pace to record the most defensive win shares of his career. And when advanced statistics back up the eye test, it is usually the strongest indication of a player performing in that area. And Al looks simply sprightly on the defensive end. He looks more energetic than before, more engaged, as if the idea that they could truly contend for the finals and even the championship is spurring him on to success. And while some will point to the Boston Celtics' recent slip in the standings, they should be aware that the slip is largely due to the hectic schedule they faced in December. They played 3 games in 4 nights an incredible 4 times in December, and an astounding 17 games overall. A simply huge workload for any team that will wear them right down. In this time, the Celtics have only been able to schedule 1 practice, and thus haven't been able to implement any major adjustments that Brad may have come up with. I fully expect the Celtics to bounce back over the back half of the season and play closer to their first 25 games compared to the latest stretch. And Al Horford will lead the way on both ends of the court. He is that captain after all. I am incredibly excited to see them in the playoffs this season and think that the Celtics are potentially the biggest challenger to LeBron James in the Eastern Conference since the Paul George Pacers in the 2013 Eastern Conference Finals. And going forward, Horford has 2 more years on his contract with the Celtics, at which point he'll be 34 and likely beginning to decline. This is perfect for Boston, as they'll either be able to re-sign him in an appropriate team-friendly deal in anticipation of this decline, or simply let him walk if another team offers him too much money. But for now, Boston fans can simply sit back and enjoy one of the most polished, smart centers to grace the city in years go to work, and help this Celtics teams to the playoffs and even potentially the finals. But just remember that whilst Big Al might not put up absolute statistical domination night in and night out, the little things he does on the court will always have an impact. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more NBA videos in the future. and leave a comment below of what you think of Al Horford and the Boston Celtics so far this season. And as this is my 50th video, I want to give a huge thank you to all of my subscribers and anyone who has liked or commented on one of my videos. I've absolutely loved my first 4 months of making YouTube videos, and to anyone who has commented positive things and subscribed, it has meant the world to me. Expect tons more videos this year, as well as a few bigger basketball projects. Thanks so much again, guys.